There is a very specific group of successful women, and they have this one thing in common: pain. And it's not just what they experienced, but what they chose to do with those stories, with those lessons that altered not only their lives, but the lives of every woman that they encounter, whether this is their own children, their mothers, their sisters, co-workers, just women who look up to them. We all benefit as a collective from women like this. And a lot of times they aren't getting the credit that they deserve. And usually it's because people really don't understand successful, respected women. We like them from a distance, but we actually don't fully understand them. And often when you're not privy to the things that made her who she is, you can mislabel her as an unkind B word, because you are so used to society's definition of what women should be that when they hold that duality so well, it's actually really uncomfortable. And that is because she is incredibly comfortable in her own energy. I really wanted to talk to you about 3 perspective shifts that I personally have used in my own life that have shifted the way that I see the traumas I have experienced in my life. So part 1 of this is trauma creates gifts, but gifts born from protection have limits. So I am a mother of 4. I have 2 daughters and 2 sons. And my eldest daughter actually just graduated from 8th grade. So she's going to be starting high school soon. And right before her graduation, I took her to get her nails done. The experience was actually a lot more healing for my inner child and my own reparenting journey than I expected. So the woman who does our nails owns her own suite. It's a boutique nail salon, so it's not that sort of churn out, I don't know you. We have really gotten to know each other, and the bond that we have formed is one that actually has been very healing for me. I was not expecting this experience to be as viscerally healing as it was. I was not expecting to feel it so deeply in my body. And the reason is because not only was I reparenting myself and healing from my own mother, sister wounds, but she also has a very similar story. And to watch her in that moment with my daughter, knowing what she had experienced at that same age, it felt like we were 2 guardian angels loving on the next generation of women. As someone who takes that role very seriously, I love what I do. I love the business that I have. I feel incredibly blessed that I am in a position where I can have an impact on the love life of women who are very successful in every area of their life, but love is the one area that they struggle with. And that business isn't just about helping women find love. It is also about these mother wounds, these sister wounds. It is about community and connecting with women who also see themselves in that bigger purpose, that bigger impact. The gifts that we have that our younger selves needed in order to protect themselves from people around us. Now, this does not necessarily mean that your traumas are massive, right? You can have perceived experiences that are unfavorable, and that is traumatic. And when we have those gifts, so what would that gift look like? That would look like your ability to adapt well, get things done. No matter what happens, you get your head down and you get going. And I will say that most of my clients are exactly those kind of women, which is why I love what I do and it doesn't feel like work, because they are women like me. But a lot of times, women like us are also needing to survive in a world that is not positioned to make space for women like us. So those same gifts of getting things done now become a shield, a way of not having to let people see the more vulnerable side of yourself, because often it has come with regret and moments of shame that we still carry. But if that keeps you from flying, if that keeps you from seeing yourself more clearly, exploring the limits of your own potential, then it is no longer a gift. It is a prison. I feel like one of the biggest moments in my life where I did the deepest inner work was when I had children. And it's not just the act of having children, because there are some really horrific mothers out there. So it's not like just having a kid is going to make you a better person. It's the intentional act of that. It's the thinking about how you want to rewrite the generational narratives with your child. But also the other side of that, that I think a lot of women who don't want to be their mothers, where they fall short is that they forget that it is also a symbiotic relationship between you and your child. You're not just deciding to not be your mother, you are also allowing that child to teach you something about yourself, to become a better version of yourself. And I think that a lot of times mothers who want to be different from their mothers and then turn around and accidentally repeat the same cycle is because they're forgetting that you can't do that alone. So when you are a woman who knows that you can no longer rely on other people, and then you decide to isolate yourself, that same gift in the wrong environment is now no longer serving you. Which is why I go back to that moment of getting my daughter's nails done. It wasn't just, let me get my daughter's nails done. It was also reparenting the parts of myself that didn't have a relationship with my mother like this, that knew I could have benefited from this relationship with my mother. It also reminds me of versions of myself that were in her early 20s, and she was connecting to what she believed was femininity and not quite knowing what that should look like, because she was also having to teach herself. It was looking at my youngest daughter, the 4-year-old, and knowing that she didn't have any of my traumas, and she also didn't have any of the experiences my eldest daughter had. So we're literally learning from her too. The freedom of expression and emotional connection that my 4-year-old has, the love that she demonstrates and displays with all of us is healing, and also teaching us a different form of love. That's what it looks like when your gifts are no longer the thing limiting you, but the opportunity to expand a little bit further. The second perspective shift is that alchemy starts happening when you stop making trauma your whole personality and you start making it your wisdom. Now, this is one of the easier said than done perspective shifts, because it is that part of ourselves that wants to hold on to the experience. It feels loyal to the anger that we experienced. Or, like most women that I meet who are very good at alchemizing and then going off and becoming incredible women, you also become a little numb to those experiences because too many people in your life never gave you the room to share the emotions, the sadness, the disappointment, the betrayal that came from their behavior. You start to think that it wasn't that big of a deal, and then you just carry on. And by the time these women come to me, usually I'm seeing how it is impacting their love life, the men that they're choosing. And this is not women who are choosing bums, right? Which, by the way, no judgment, no shade, because we all have a bum in our past. But these are women who are choosing men on their level, men who have great jobs, men who they look good on paper, right? They have the experience, the education, the travel that should make them a better quality person, but they don't have the depth. They are missing that. And they are choosing men that ultimately they need to save. And in this dynamic, they end up becoming the rescuer instead of the woman who can relax into her softness and know that her husband is not going to embarrass her because he needs adult supervision. So I know I'm not talking to women who their experiences make them a victim, but slowly these experiences start to crystallize and almost like scar tissue. Our body just adapts. Our personality just adapts. Our nervous system just adapts. And then we stop seeing it as a problem and we just see it as something that happened that maybe I haven't dealt with, but it's not really impacting me. But in reality, it is. So women who are successful and who alchemize well anyway, you're not going to resonate with not making your trauma your personality, because usually you haven't, because you've been able to create success in your life. But there's a different way that it shows up for us. And it's that you have learned that you cannot rely on other people. You cannot trust people with the softest parts of yourself because they do not know how to handle you with care. So you self-isolate intentionally. And this doesn't mean that you're not social and you don't have friends and you don't want community. It means that very few people have the ability to see past your walls that you feel safest with. And I find with the women that I interact with, and some of them are my clients, but some of them are just my friends. Some of them are just people that I genuinely love. And I can tell when we're speaking, especially when we first meet, that there is a depth to them that is absolutely gorgeous. And when you learn that it is not safe for you to share that side of yourself, you almost learn to mask in public. You learn to be at work and be this strong, incredible, successful, get it done kind of woman, but no one really sees the quiet moments where you're crying in the bathroom because your boyfriend and you had another fight, or your mother who you've been trying for years to see that therapy would heal your relationship, she just can't see it. Or your sister who is jealous of you, is once again competing with you in her delusional brain because she thinks that you are actually the problem and not the shared traumas and experiences that you have from your childhood. And then who gets that side of you? Who gets that part of you? A lot of times for these women, it's no one, because there isn't anyone that they can share this with and feel safe with. So they hold that in themselves. But they aren't just holding that. They're also holding everyone else's traumas, because usually this is the person that is the one to fix it for everybody. You are the strong friend. You are the one who got things done. So everyone is relying on you to hold space for them. And then they're not really checking on you, because it would almost mean that you were weak. And if you're weak, then everything's falling apart because you're supposed to be the one holding it together. So when you're working to not make this your entire personality, it doesn't mean that you are going to work and then bringing up your traumas every time you get corrected because you're trying to avoid being held accountable, because that's not your problem. It means that you are feeling safe enough to say, I need help. One of the things, this is why I chose to focus on love for my business, is because I remember being on this journey and how when I met my husband, how being in the presence of a truly masculine man who is not working to control you, but just lovingly guide, be present, and witness you, how healing that was for my own divine feminine leadership qualities. And women like this, these are the women who heal. Their love is healing. Their love is able to transform the lives of so many around them. And so what I did was allow myself to be loved by the kind of man that I was already asking God to send me. It wasn't just the act of asking, it was also allowing myself to receive that love, to feel safe enough to recognize my husband. And that's what it looks like when your traumas are no longer your entire identity, right? I was the get it done, single, I don't need anybody individual. And then allowing myself to say, actually, the things that I have experienced made me a more loving woman, made me feel safe enough to be vulnerable with the kind of man that actually had the capacity to love me, but also was deserving of that love. We like to not have these conversations about how some people are not deserving of this side of you, but there is a difference. And when you are spending time having conversations with people who don't get it, it's usually because they don't matter. And that, I know that sounds hurtful to some people, but this is a very grown-up conversation. So if it hurts your feelings, it may mean that this is not the conversation for you, or the time for you, or the healing space for you. And that's okay too. The last perspective shift is that the intention matters. Are you building from a place of proving to other people, or are you building to create? Now, I have witnessed many people, and I'm going to focus on women because that is my audience and who I serve. And there is just a difference. We don't always like to have this conversation because it is uncomfortable, but I have been made very aware over the years that not acknowledging the difference between these two very specific kinds of women always works against me. There are women who are intentionally desiring to build with you, and then there are women who want to destroy. Now, is that their traumas leading them? Sometimes. But sometimes it's also just a sense of wanting it to be about them and no one else. So when we talk about this very specific perspective shift of wanting to build with the intention of creating, the women that I have seen who build solely to prove to people from their past, to prove to, and they project that onto other women, they project that onto their relationships, it actually ends up destroying them in the end because it's not sustainable. It's not an energy that keeps giving. It's not one that you can constantly pull from. And the women that are genuinely loving, giving from a place of desiring to see you do well, they're just happy for you. Those are women who can create empires. They create sustainable growth in their life and across all dimensions, whether it is business, it is family, it is love, it is their creative endeavors. All of it is amplified. So when you are in this space of wanting to create from your traumas, you are wanting to take what you have experienced. And this is, I want to be very clear too. We are allowing ourselves to bring awareness to this part of ourselves. So when you are this kind of woman that I'm talking about, because you've had to get going from day one, a lot of times slowing down enough to see yourself more clearly is actually dangerous. It just isn't helpful because who's going to pay the bills, right? Who's going to get things going? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? It has to be you. So even this is a moment of allowing yourself to give yourself permission to slow down and take inventory, and not from a place of needing to fix it, right? Because that's another problem that we have, is wanting to solve everything. Everything has a solution and I need to be doing it perfectly. You really don't. It's really one of the things that I am most grateful for on my journey is that I am genuinely in a place where I feel so safe in my energy that I have no need to rush. I have a desire to achieve. I have a desire to fulfill the soul assignment that I can tell is sitting on me. But I don't have an urgency, a false sense of urgency that is projected by society onto me or anyone around me who is engaging with my energy and then feel some kind of way about it. And I want you to take the moment to do the same, to just sit with yourself and say, the things that I've created in my life that were amazing, right? Whether it was getting your college degree, it was starting a business, it was getting married, having children, traveling, whatever it was, being the first in your family to do miraculous things, whether that was buying a home or getting a very good job, exploring your creative gifts. What part of that, if you just put it aside, because we're not throwing everything away, if you just put it aside and then just ask yourself, how much of that was for me? And can I hold space for both? Can I hold space for doing the things that made me feel good for whatever reasons they were, whether they were internal or external? And then decide that maybe I'm going to leave a little bit more room for the quieter parts of myself that are asking for something different. Because the version of you that has the life that you want, that has alchemized your traumas beautifully, she wants different things. Different things are normal for her. For example, the version of myself that now runs this successful relationship strategy business, I am not desiring to engage with every single woman. I am very specific about the kind of woman that I know my work was created for because this was my younger self, right? I am very aware of that woman's journey because I myself had those experiences. And one of the things I am so aware of is how every client I meet, I am very knowledgeable in their very specific experiences because I have a moment in time in my own history in which that came forward. And the ability to share that with them does not bring up any kind of sadness and emotion in me. It brings up a feeling of community and gratefulness that I have that actual lived in experience so that they don't feel alone in that moment. And what they experience is a feeling of connection, community, and not feeling alone. So in your own life, when you look back at the experiences that you have had that may not have been the most favorable, but they are the experiences that have given you the characteristics that you value now. If you are still here with me, I would love to know what those were, what characteristics that you have now that you value from your past experiences. Of course, if you feel safe to and feel called to share, I'd love to hear that in the comments. One, for yourself, this is a space to declare it, to acknowledge it, to put it out there and almost release its hold over you, release your need to almost keep this protected and safe. It just let it go. And then as always, for those of you who feel aligned and ready to shift your own love life to become more magnetic to the men on your level that are the truly masculine, grounded men that you desire to have in your life, the links for that are below. And I will see you in the next one.